Welcome back to Fashion on Tap. It's been a minute, and that is because I've been waiting to film outdoors. I was just completely done with winter, as I'm sure many of you were. And here we have these insanely blossoming magnolia behind us. Today, we are debriefing about my Paris trip. I was remiss in that I originally went to Paris literally to go see the first couture exhibit that the Louvre Museum has ever put on in its 232-year history. And I also wanted to go see Yves Saint Laurent's studio, which is now a museum on the right bank, I believe. Clearly, I didn't do either of those things because I kind of fell down a Renaissance rabbit hole, which is another story. I get really into Renaissance art in bouts. And I started by looking at these 1500s, 16th century Brussels tapestries and just followed the Renaissance trail for the rest of my trip. However, what I do have to report is Paris fashion on the streets. So I was very surprised to find how American, I guess you could say, the influence was. I cannot tell you the number of younger folks wearing New York Yankees caps. Why? I have no idea. I even, in the Marais district, where most of the cool people hang out, saw, I would count 3 Ralph's, Ralph Lauren, Ralph's coffee shop hats. There are a very few number of them because they're so Ralph's coffees. There are 6 of them maybe around the world, including obviously in the United States. I have an earlier episode on Ralph Lauren that you can check out. He's such an interesting figure in the way that he built up his empire from these very, very humble Bronx Jewish beginnings to create, again, this dream, right, of Euro-American, or really just European royalty that Americans somehow infiltrated into. In any case, so I saw lots of Ralph's caps, lots of Yankees caps, and legions and legions and legions of Adidas Samba, of course. I mean, it is everywhere on the streets in the US as well, but I would say that the amount of Adidas Sambas that I saw crossing my line of vision every 3 seconds for the entire 10 days that I was there it kind of blew my mind. Personally, maybe it's because I'm someone who kind of runs in the opposite direction of trends. And maybe 8 years later, I'll be like, well, maybe I'll try this trend that was, really in 10 years ago. But the Adidas Samba is, let's just get into a little bit because it's kind of a fascinating story. Adidas, back in 2020, 2021, I mean, it was hemorrhaging money. By the end of the final quarter of 2023, it was somewhere losing 400 million euros in terms of its quarterly earnings. And then in 2023, the huge Samba trend just took off. And by the end of last year's final fiscal quarter, it was turning a profit of, I have the figures here, 57 million euros. That's literally almost single-handedly driven by the popularity of the Adidas Samba. Why? What is with the Samba? Well, one of the explanations for the rise of the popularity of that specific shoe is a lot of high fashion designers giving their 2-cent interpretation of the shoe and putting it on their runways. One of them is this incredible designer who I love. Her name is Grace Whale Bonner. She is a Jamaican-British designer. She's kind of under the radar, though she's going into her 10th year, and she's going to have her 10th anniversary show in Paris this June, coming right up. Here, this is Grace. And she does collaborations with Adidas. She's been collaborating with them on sportswear, as clothing, apparel, as well as shoes for a couple of years now. This is these really awesome shorts. Long shorts, skort, that she designed with them. She's got tops here. And then, of course, she also does designs for, I think, the Jamaican soccer team or something. But she's coming out with an entirely new design shoe for Adidas at the end of May. It's called WB for Wales Bonner, her last name, Katerina. But she has done some interpretation of sambas that have been really, really popular with like pony skin that are crocheted. So I guess what really happened was these models and influencers started picking them up, and then it just went completely viral and still going strong today. That is really mostly what I saw in Paris in terms of fashion. And then like a sprinkling of your usual like big shouldered kind of menswear blazers with baggy jeans sort of look that has been in vogue now for about a year. You have to have like a really polished hair and makeup really to pull off that look, because it's just big, right? Like baggy volumes. That was also a big thing in Paris.